Good afternoon, and thanks for taking the time to watch this presentation about applying for membership with the CAA. This is a little tutorial. We're hoping to cover some of the functionality of the competency portfolio with you today. You are applying for membership in a professional organization, and you will be held to those standards. So please make sure that your application is very professional, very neat, very tidy, and that you understand everything that's involved with applying for membership with the Canadian Avalanche Association. In today's presentation, we're going to cover a few things. First, we're going to start with a little bit of understanding about Microsoft Excel for those of you that aren't familiar so much with it. We're going to spend a lot of time talking about the functions that are built into the competency portfolio, give you some tips and tricks, and answer some frequently asked questions. Hopefully by doing that, we're going to enable you to build a competency portfolio that highlights you. We're going to give a brief demonstration of the competency portfolio form and then point you towards some additional resources. So the competency portfolio is in Microsoft Excel. We have tested it across many different Excel platforms on both Mac and PC. Please avoid using numbers for Mac. You won't like the results, and many of the functions will not work for you if you do. And if you try and use it in Google Docs, many things will work, but you will probably have problems submitting in the end. Okay. Currently, the form is in Microsoft Excel. This may change in the future, but right now we are finding it is the best platform for the most functional form that we could build for you to use. Many of the cells and tabs are protected throughout the document. Please don't try to unprotect these. All of the cells that you need to enter information in are highlighted in pink. Okay. Those are not protected, and you are able to input information into them. The rest of it, if you unprotect it, start changing format or function, then someone has to go back and change it once you submit it, and that is just going to increase the time of your review. For Excel, you do need to click in a cell to be able to enter information. You can either enter that information directly into that cell once you've clicked on it, or in the banner at the top of the sheet. One of the bigger problems or differences folks do find with this compared to word processing programs is to get a line break or a hard return, you need to hit Alt and Enter and not just Enter. If you just hit Enter, it's just going to bump you down to the next cell. So if you want to have a break in your paragraph, start a new paragraph, Alt and Enter is the key. Here's an example of what the first tab in the form looks like. You'll see along the bottom, there are 8 tabs. Starting on the left, we have the intro and Avalanche work history. Proceeding across are the different competency sections broken out for you, and then ending on the looker's right with your validation and signature. Each of these tabs does have information that you do need to enter, so you need to click on each one, find all the pink boxes, and make sure that you have information in each and every one of them. If there's any pink boxes left at the end, then you need to make them not pink. So this is the Avalanche work history. It is a requirement. It really helps to provide context for who you are, what you've done, where your experience comes from, and sets the tone for the reviewer to understand where you are coming from as well. Please read the instructions and complete it as requested. You can see here, I've worked for several different employers over the time span. I've put one employer per year per line. Okay. So for example, you can see I worked for Raven Cat Skiing from 2019, November 30th to 2020, March 15th. In that time, I worked 14 days for them, sorry, as a tail guide. Okay. Within the duties box, you only have 100 characters, so please make sure that you're very concise with your description. You can see in that same year, I also worked for a Unicorn Mountain Ski Patrol. Okay. I worked for them from October 30th, 2019 until April 15th, 2020. So a lot more. And you can also see below that, I worked for those same two outfits in subsequent years. Therefore, I filled out another line down below for them. As I've entered information, those boxes have changed colors. This is the one place where you might have pink left at the bottom if you haven't filled in all the boxes, and that is fine. Demonstrating competencies is the name of the game. Throughout this application process, you are required to demonstrate that you meet every competency at the membership level you are applying for. You need to write in full paragraphs using a narrative that highlights you and your skills. You'll see that that's reoccurring through this. We're going to talk about that several times, but please do. It's really important that you highlight what you've done, how you've done it, okay? And how you've completed these competencies. You've probably noticed if you reviewed the competency profile that many of the competencies are the same for an avalanche practitioner and an avalanche professional. The big difference is here, the level of which you're expected to demonstrate how you meet those competencies and the skills that you can show. Okay, so when we're navigating, we're back down to the tabs at the bottom. This case, we're going to go over to section 5, managing operational avalanche risk, and go through an example there. So if you're clicked on section 5, you would see as part of it a box that looks exactly like this. So you have two competencies that you're trying to show within this box. 5.1, identify potential effects of forecast events on people and resources. And 5.2, communicate hazard and risk to persons affected. Those are always in the white areas, and it just outlines exactly what the competency is for you. Now, on those same white areas, you'll see a little red triangle in the top corner. If you hover over that, then a little note's going to pop up. And that's going to give you a little bit of additional detail about that competency and what we're hoping that you're going to describe in there. Okay. If you want that note to stay up and not go away when you move your cursor, then right click, find show and /hide note, click on it. It will stay up until you again right click and then click on show hide note. The area that's in yellow is a question. It's there to help direct you in providing a good answer and describing how you meet these two competencies. So for these two, 5.1 and 5.2, what we're asking is describe how you, as part of your operation, identify elements at risk and the potential effect of the avalanche hazard to the elements at risk. What is your role and how your organization communicates information to those who could be affected by the avalanche hazard. And then this pink area at the bottom is where you are going to place your information. Okay, your answer to the question. This is where you're going to demonstrate, tell the reviewers how you meet these two competencies. Once you start to put information in, the box will automatically expand And after you leave it the first time, it will change from pink to white. That lets you know that information has been entered. It doesn't say anything about the quality of the information, but that you have entered information into it. It's your responsibility in each of these boxes to demonstrate for each competency or set of competencies how you meet it at the expected level. Again, we really want you to write in full paragraphs, show your communication skills, and really highlight you and what you do and how you do it. The areas for you to enter information are limited to 6,000 characters. The box will expand to fit that. If you exceed that, then it will give you an error message. You need to go back and trim down your response. 6,000 characters is quite a bit. There aren't any of the competency or competency sets where you need that many characters. Be descriptive, but be concise in your answers. Okay, we're going to move over to one of the competencies out of section 4. Section 4 is terrain and terrain management. So this one is a set of 3 competencies, 4.6, 4.7, and 4.8. You'll notice the big difference here is there's evidence that's required to support your pros to show how you demonstrate these competencies. Okay, when evidence is required to support your competency and demonstrate how you have completed it, there will be a second yellow line, and it will name the exact competencies that the evidence should be supporting. Again, if you hover over the little red triangle or that yellow box, it will describe what is acceptable evidence, what we're looking for in your evidence file. And if you want that to stay up, we're going to right click, show hide note. It will stay up until you again right click, show hide note. You're going to place your evidence file name in the second pink box. Once you've started to type into it, it will again change from pink to white. Please make sure that your evidence file name matches what you will upload later on when you complete it. So you need to go through, like I said, each of those tabs at the bottom, complete all those steps for every one of the boxes in each of those tabs. And finally, you will come to the validation and signature section at the far right-hand side of all the tabs. Here, there are 2 statements for you to read, understand, and then sign off that you have read and understand. All right, we're going to go for a little tour of the competency portfolio. What I brought up here is the Avalanche Practitioner full version. There are many different versions of the competency portfolio. We're just going to use this one as a little walkthrough tour demo for you. So you can see over here on the right-hand side, is our intro and avalanche work history. So name at the top, enter that there. There's a preamble for you to read, as well as it tells you about your proficiency level and some of the standards that you're expected to adhere to once you are an Avalanche practitioner or Avalanche professional, whichever the case may be. Instructions for your Avalanche work history. This is the table that we looked at already. As we start to write in this will turn white. And some instructions at the bottom. Again, back to our tabs along the bottom. We have our organization and decision making, section 3. Okay, you can see the boxes that we were showing you before. This one has 4 competencies that you're going to speak to. Each of them has a little red triangle. If I hover over it, up pops our note, tells me a little bit more about it. So manage individual work time effectively. And we're asking, how do you get assigned tasks done in a timely manner? What tools and approaches do you use? So understanding each of those 4 competencies then brings you down to our question. How do you function effectively within your organization structure? Describe the tools you use to complete assigned tasks efficiently. How does collaboration within your team help complete tasks? What tools do you and your team use to remain situation aware and ensure your work within the abilities and limitations of your team? So if you can answer that question, that should show how you have completed all of those competencies. Within the overall competency profile, there's just shy of 100 competencies. Some have been assessed through your ITP courses. Some are not needed to be assessed depending on what level of practitioner or Avalanche professional you're applying for. And some have been assessed through other means. At the practitioner level, it leaves 43 for you to demonstrate. At the professional level, it leaves 52 for you to demonstrate. So when we get into train use, this is where we start to see evidence being required. Okay, so again, we have a group of 3 competencies here. Our notes. Again, if we want them to stay up, I right click, I go down to show hide note. And now that's going to stay up for me until I want it to go away. Again, I hover over it, click, show hide note, and away it goes. Okay. Name of evidence file, it's going to go here. This should again match what you are going to upload. This is not where you're going to upload that evidence file, just the name of it. And this way the reviewers know what you want us to look at to support this competency. You'll see on the side of each of these tabs, there's a section. This is for the reviewers. Don't worry about that. Don't touch it. Leave it alone. As same as this section at the bottom. It's just there for their use when we're going over your application. You'll note throughout this, there are some competencies that many of us hopefully never actually have to experience. Section 8 is a great example of that. We're doing emergency response. No, we don't think that everyone should have been involved with an emergency response. I really hope that you haven't. So you can describe training events, make sure that they're large scale and fit the criteria. Okay. Same thing when we're talking about debriefing near misses, recording incidents, things like that, where situationally you just might not have had those opportunities. You can describe how your operation would, could, does, and states how they will deal with it, and that's acceptable. Over on the far right side, we have our validation and signature. Two statements to read, sign off on. You can just download digital signatures right into there, and that's perfectly acceptable. Okay, so pretty quick. So there we go, pretty quick tour of the competency portfolio. I hope that was helpful. We're going to move on to a couple other topics. So communication. Communication is very important. It is assessed within section 2 of the competency profile. You will not see section 2 in the portfolio itself. Mostly these skills have been assessed through your industry training program courses like your ITP level 1, your ITP level 2, your professionalism course, and other means. But, it is still assessed throughout this application, okay, as part of the overall communication strategy, which means it's really important for you to demonstrate your communication skills throughout this membership application process. Evidence files are very important. It goes back to the communication and it goes back to building a strong competency portfolio and a strong application. Competencies are grouped together so you can provide a single piece of evidence or a single file or document to demonstrate all competencies in that group. Unless the evidence is extremely self-evident, such as a first aid certificate, your CAA ITP level 1, your CAA ITP level 2, things like that, we'd really encourage you to write a short paragraph just describing what it is, what you're trying to show us at the top of the evidence file. And building nice, robust evidence files is going to help you, and it's going to show a higher level. So single evidence files that contain documents that demonstrate how you meet competencies. For example, starting with a descriptive paragraph at the top, and then moving into a morning hazard forecast, a run list, and then a control sheet or a map outlining the location of travel, the avalanche problems, the control work you did, how you worked through that day, where you went and did your pits that day, whatever that daily operational list looks like, and then rounding it off with your avalanche hazard assessment at the end of the day. All of that in one document really shows nice flow, especially if it's through one single day, beginning to end. Really highlights you quite well. So that would be a gorgeous little evidence file. And confidentiality is very important, and we take it very, very seriously. We know we're asking for quite a bit when it comes to evidence, what you're going to share with us, as well as what you're going to be asking your employers for, and for them to allow you to share with us. Okay? Please be assured that we do keep that information in the strictest of confidence. Okay? We all work for operations, and we all have the same concerns. If you're not able to get evidence to support it, then we can use a letter from a supervisor. Preferably, it's written by a CAA Avalanche professional. It should be on letterhead. It should be signed. It should be dated. And the amount of detail that your supervisor provides should be significant. It shouldn't just be this person meets this competency. They do need to speak to this competency, whatever the number is, whatever the criteria are, okay, how you've done it, that they've seen you perform it, how often, how many times, okay, lots and lots of detail. We want that detail to be there because it is replacing that piece of evidence. And if there isn't enough detail, then unfortunately, we will be asking for a different piece of evidence or more detail in it. So please, lots of detail from your supervisor that is writing you a letter if you are going down that path. References are a key part of this process. There's a lot of strength and weight placed on what your reference has to say about you. If you're applying to be an Avalanche practitioner, you require one reference. If you're applying to be an Avalanche professional, you require two. In either case, your reference needs to be a CAA Avalanche professional. They need to know you. They need to have worked with you in an Avalanche related job. And it's best if there's someone that's mentored you and been very involved with your development in the Avalanche industry. They should know and understand the competency-based membership process. They need to, and this is very, very important, they need to review your competency portfolio. We are all very busy. I understand that. I get that. But if they don't have time to do that, then they're probably not the right reference for you. Okay. They should be here to help you, support you through this process, and mentor you and give you guidance as well. Okay. And at the very least, they should be reviewing your competency portfolio. And if they don't have time to do that, I think they're just simply too busy. That's nothing against them. It's just a fact of a busy lifestyle that many, many of us lead. Your reference will submit their documents directly to the CAA through a web portal. You will not see them. And what they say about you holds, like I said, a lot of weight and a lot of strength. And how they act and what they say reflects on you. So please choose a reference that is going to be great for you. Folks, if you are a CSGA member, if you're an ACMG member, or if you become a member of the CMBGA as they develop, we do have equivalency tables to help you through this process. You know, these organizations have put you through courses. They have assessed you on many of these competencies. Okay, so if you are any members of any of these organizations, or you have completed your level 2 and you're applying as a practitioner, please contact member services. They do have equivalency tables for you where competencies are already counted as completed, and you will not need to show those. Hey, help and resources. Your reference is probably one of your bigger ones and should be there, like we said, to help you out. There are example applications. They're located in the same place you found this presentation. If you would prefer to submit in French or have French instructions, those are available as well. They are on the membership website for the level of membership you are applying for. They're also available through member services. If you want to learn and understand more about the competency profile, there is a link there for you. There is a FAQ page, and member services is always here to help. As we wrap up here, I just want to remind or take a moment to point out the fact that this application process is a great opportunity for reflection about your development as an Avalanche worker, Avalanche practitioner, and Avalanche professional. You have an opportunity here to learn a lot through the process. Don't shortchange yourself by rushing through it. Take the opportunity, make the most of it. Okay, we really look forward to receiving your application for membership, and we wish you all the best in this journey of learning. And again, if you need help, we're here to help. Have a great evening, and we look forward to seeing your application soon.